right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you because this is how we meet each other nowadays, through Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Jazz. I'm
Great name,
currently
by the way. I wish my name was Jazz or R&B or something like that.
that's what I tell people. I'm like, the way I tell people to remember my name is, hey, I'm Jazz, like the genre of music.
Yeah, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, so basically like I got started on Twitter a few months ago, and currently I run a newsletter of 7,000 plus subscribers called the Tech Route, where we cover everything from AI to entrepreneurs and basically tech businesses. Um, and that's what I've been doing for the last 4 months.
Nice. Well, how did you get to this point? Because I mean, I was just reading your thread about how you just quit your job. Is this the right person? Are you the right person?
Yeah,
Are you the same person who
yeah,
just quit your job? Okay, like
yeah.
how did you get to this point? I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, so basically, like when I was like 14, I was like really passionate about like business and like, listening to Gary Vee and everything. So yeah, so when I was like 14, I started doing that. And then just to like, I guess, make money for myself at the time, I started flipping Instagram accounts. So I would grow like these theme pages to like multiple thousands of hundreds of thousands, and then I would sell them later, right? Under
Nice.
like
What kind of what can you give me an example? Like what's a theme page? Like how would
Yeah,
that work?
so basically like theme pages are like, have you ever seen like a page just dedicated to nature or
Yeah.
just dedicated to hiking, but it doesn't have a face associated with it, right?
Mhm.
So I would build those and then I would basically sell them after for like a few $1,000s or something,
Nice.
just to like make
How
money
would you
for
do that? You just like take pictures or like like
um
what's the
Yeah,
process?
so typically people would just reach out to me on Instagram and they would be like, "Hey, we would love to buy it." And then there were these people called like mediators, right? So they would be kind of the middlemen. And basically like you would give them the password, the person would give them the money. It would typically be someone you both trusted. And yeah, basically like you would get the money in your PayPal and they would get basically the
Wow. So
password
you were
in your.
audience building when you were 14.
Yeah, so basically
Nice.
like I was doing that and then
Well, actually,
so
let's just a quick sec. How do you build a page in the first place? Like how did you build that audience? Like you started from zero, right? I'm assuming
yeah.
you had an Instagram account and you said, "Okay,
So
I'm going to do this now." Like
yeah,
how did you do that? Like how did you
yeah. So
start?
basically, like when Instagram had like Instagram wasn't that big at the time. Like this is like when social media was really just getting started. And so yeah, so basically there were like multiple strategies that you could use, like the hashtag strategy. And back then, like hashtags were huge. Using the correct hashtags or engaging with the correct people, right? And at the time, engagement groups were also a huge thing, where basically you'd be a part of this like big group where all these other big creators would also be a part of it, and they
Mm,
would all engage with your stuff, and then in return you would engage with theirs, right? And again, like I was 14, so I wasn't trying to build like a personal brand or something where engagement groups would like hurt me in the long term. I was just trying to build these pages so I can sell them after, right?
right.
So I would do that, and
So you
basically
sold your first page when you were 14?
yeah, I sold my first one
Nice.
when I was 14, and then I did that all throughout high school. So until about 2018, I did that. And then in about 2018, when I was about to graduate high school, I thought the natural progression would be like going into business school or something.
Hmm.
But so I wanted to go into that, but like I come from like an immigrant household. So my mom's thinking was, if I went to business school, it would mean that I would have to start a business after, right? And
Yeah,
not like, oh, I can't just go into accounting or marketing or something, right?
right. Right.
So
From
she's
coming
like,
from an immigrant family myself, I totally get that.
yeah, so she's like, hey, like it's too risky, it's not for us. I want you to be the typical doctor, lawyer, and so on.
Oh, yeah,
And
and I was in Canada too, so hockey player was another option, but I don't think I was going to do that.
yeah, yeah. I don't think I was good. I still can't skate. So so yeah, but then I like convinced her to kind of meet me in the middle. I didn't want to go into engineering. And so I ended up going into architecture.
Hmm.
Not knowing that it's like a really tough degree. I just thought, okay, whatever. Like the starting courses were not that bad. So yeah, basically I went into architecture, then finished my 6-year degree that typically takes 6 years in 4 years.
Now, were you
Did
doing your business at the same time as you were going to school, or you were just you give up, you sort of put it on hold?
I wouldn't say I gave up. I still kept up. That's in the process. I kind of found like podcasts like My First Million and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't say I had any concrete business ventures in the moment. I would say like I had one theme page that I had turned into like an e-commerce store type of thing,
Nice.
giving me like small income, but it wasn't anything major, throughout university. And then yeah, so basically like I graduated last year and then handed my mom the degree, and I was like, I'm never using this again. Uh,
Did you ever look back on it and go, "Wow, there's 6 years of my life wasted, man"?
Well, I kind of viewed it from like just being like a big Gary Vee fan, and he even like he says this a lot where he didn't need to go to college, but like he only went to college because he knew that that was something that mattered a lot to his mom.
Right.
Um, so I was like, you know what, like she's done so much for me over these 18 years of my life, and the least I can do is like give back to her for these four
Right.
years, right?
But you probably
So
learned some valuable skills when you're in college, like discipline and stuff like that, that you would.
100%, 100%. And honestly, it might have been one of the best decisions I made, at least to this point, just because the fact that it kind of taught me like what hard work really feels like. And resulting in like multiple nights in university and sleeping there and so on and so forth. Um,
It's
but
kind of
yeah,
like being
so
a startup in a startup, basically, working really
basically,
hard.
basically. And but getting told by your professors that hey, you're not good enough to be here. Um, basically a startup, you
Well,
know?
that's what happens in a startup. It's like your investors will be saying you're not good enough.
Yeah. So yeah, so that happened. I graduated from that last year, and then yeah, gave my mom the degree, saying I'm never using this, and then saw that there wasn't any path to like making big money in this. And 100% like my passion is business, but it's also a huge part of it is again making money. And then so yeah, and then I was like, okay, what can I do? I had, I guess by then like social media had kind of played out, right? Because I hadn't kept up with it for like the last 5 years, right? And so I kind of used my previous like leverage of like growing these social media accounts, got a few other certifications of like Google certifications and stuff, and landed my first marketing job.
Nice. So
Yeah, so
you didn't work in architecture at all. So you had your degree, and I
no,
guess the next step would probably be to go work as a draftsman at some architecture firm, but you weren't even interested in that really.
yeah. Like I wasn't interested in it also because like I was like, I can do anything in this world and make the same money as an architect. You know,
Right.
like I can
And
do
that's a hard job. That's a really hard
it,
job.
it's a really hard, like it's demanding hours, and on top of that, like I can do anything in this world in terms of a money ROI on it. I
Yeah.
can do anything and make the same amount of money. I can
Yeah.
flip things on the side and make the same amount of money as
Yeah.
architects, right?
Yeah.
So
It's funny because there's difficult ways of making money and there's easy ways of making money. And a lot of people just drive themselves to the hard one. It's like,
exactly.
why?
Yeah. So I really didn't work anything in that field. And then so next thing I got these certifications, and a few months later I had landed this marketing job um as like an e-commerce website lead, where I was like learned more about SEO, web design, UI design and everything. And so yeah, so from there then like again, like I would have this like rule where I would work a 9 to 5, and then I would be like, okay, I have to set apart 2 hours of my day to something else,
So
right?
you had your side hustle. You already knew you were going to do a side hustle at the same time.
Yeah,
So
I wasn't gonna work a job. Like that's not something that I was planning on doing for a long time.
right, right.
Yeah,
Well, this
so
how did you get that job though? I mean, you didn't have any experience in marketing, but how did you was it just like an entry level? Is that how you got it? Or
I wouldn't say it was an entry level position, it was a mid-level position. Well, I got the job because so I had done all these certifications, these Google certifications, right? Which kind of acted as my education.
Mhm.
Um they also knew that I had run this like e-commerce store in through a university, right?
Oh, okay. So you already
Um,
had credentials from your from your ecom store?
Yeah, I would say I had like a little bit of experience in the ecom world, and then on top of that, I had been dabbling with SEO and everything, and then to top it all off, I had the 4 years of experience from like 14 to 18 of building these social media accounts.
Mhm.
So all that kind of put together kind of landed me in like a mid-level position. Not gonna lie though, my first like corporate position, I show up and I'm like, wow, this is out of my league. And then
That's how most people feel first day on the job, so that's
yeah,
normal.
yeah. So and this is like my first like actual 9 to 5. So kind of felt that, and then yeah, more or less like did that for about 5 months. Noticed that hey, like this job, I wouldn't say it's not enough for me, but it's kind of like capping my growth at a certain point.
Right.
And did that for 5 months. Then on the side, the 2 hours that I was spending after work, I had been building this like SEO web design agency, which was a huge flop.
Oh no. What happened?
Just like I guess it was like my first venture, like a actual like getting clients and hopping on cold calls and stuff. And I would say it provided me a lot of experience of like how do you cold call people, how do you like so on and so forth, how do you cold email them, and it provided me a bunch of experience, I would say. But in terms of like a revenue, I wasn't making like more than like I don't know $1,000 on the side or something a month,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, that's the
So
agency model, right? I mean, you got to work really hard, really, really, really,
exactly.
really, really hard, and then eventually get a client or two, and then you're on the treadmill. Like you never
Yeah,
stop. You never
yeah,
stop.
exactly. Yeah, also because like you kind of realize that well then there's the whole thing of like the LTV of the client and then how much you're spending on acquiring per client and so on and so forth. But yeah, so basically that didn't really work out. But the good thing that ended up happening was I leveraged the job that I was working plus this side hustle thing that I was doing into landing a job for like a local children's hospital as like their digital marketing specialist.
Oh, nice. This is your second
So
9 to 5.
yeah, this is my second 9 to 5 in less than a year now. And in terms of money now, I'm like basically doubling whatever my like architect friends are making at this point.
Hmm.
So yeah, I land this job, and then this is a really easy job. I'm just managing their basically social media and their website and stuff, and like working on their SEO, copywriting, and so on. But it's a small organization, so I'm kind of like their tech guy in a sense, right? Everyone, and since it's a non-for-profit, it's like most people are older than me, so I'm kind of like the techie new kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in the process of trying to make my job easier, I started using ChatGPT when its craze came out and all that. So
And it was just at the end of last year, right? So not
yeah,
long ago.
yeah. So I basically started using ChatGPT in like December, and then I used it until about March to make my life easier. And in the process, I switched. I went into my new job in February. So yeah, so basically like did my new job, and then I was like, wow, this ChatGPT thing is like incredible. Like I'm barely working. And best part is most people in my organization are old, so they don't know about this, right?
They can't tell the difference.
Yeah, so they can't tell the difference. And on top of that, it's like they think I'm a genius. Like they tell me
Yeah.
something, I put up I the output is like seconds, right? Um
In fact, I
so
think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're completely hiding it from their employers. They're using ChatGPT to generate stuff. They're doing it in like seconds, and then they're relaxing for the rest of the day.
100%, 100%. So I basically did the same thing. I would do my like 5 days of work in 2 days.
Nice.
Uh, and then like I would have 3 days at home, right? But then those 3 days at home, I would just like do my own thing, right?
Yeah, you'd be cranking on your own business for sure.
Exactly. So, but then at the time I had stopped kind of the SEO thing, and I had like at the time I was really big into like reaching out to 15 people a day on LinkedIn in the marketing world. I was
Hmm.
like, you know what? I still don't know much about marketing just because it's still less than a year since I've been in the space. Let me just reach out to 10 or 15 people locally every single day and try to meet some cool people.
Yeah.
Um, so in the process, I was also kind of looking for a mentor. So and like before, like a year prior, when I was just starting out in marketing, I had reached out to like, like Sean and like you know, all these people like Sean Puri from the My First Million, and then
Hmm.
Jesse Punji, I think his name is. He's on Twitter, huge following, like 200K. So on. Like I had reached out to multiple people, but all of them were like, "Hey, you're
So
too early."
these marketing influencers on mostly on Twitter, right?
Yeah, basically, right? And all of them were like, "Hey, you're a little too early in your learning curve for, you know, for us to have a position where you work, but we love the approach that you did. Like, I would like find their personal emails and stuff and then email them. Um, but yeah, and then but yeah, so that happened. And then basically like from that I went on to I just searched up AI on Twitter, and the first
Hmm.
person that came up was Rowan.
Hmm.
Rowan Chung's the founder of the Rundown AI, the newsletter.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, okay, if I reach out to him on Twitter, he's not going to reply to me. He had like, I think 150K followers at the time. Um, so I found his LinkedIn and then messaged him there. And he's like, hey, I love your approach. You're like, you know, trying to hustle your way through. Um, I don't have a job for you currently, but maybe in a few months I will, right?
Right.
Like,
Nice.
okay.
So
I was
you're
like,
making connections. You're
yeah,
networking.
exactly. Exactly. And so I'm like, okay, how can I leverage this even more and like impress him? So I started a Twitter account called the AI Marketing Guy,
Hmm.
without my face on it though. And I like turn on his notifications, and I would be in the middle of meetings. I would feel my phone buzz. I would check my phone, reply to his thing, and then like, but the replies I was doing wasn't just like nice post or something. It was like really thoughtful replies that actually added to the thread. So I did that for 20 days straight, and then in the process, what ended up happening was like I realized his schedule. So I would know at 10 he's gonna post. So I would pull out my phone, be ready for his post, right? And in the process, because I was leaving such valuable replies, and on top of that, I was still posting a little bit of content. I ended up gaining about 1,500-ish like followers in about 20
Nice.
days.
And this
So
is not for your personal account. This is for your other account,
this is the AI marketing guy. And then
right?
so Rowan noticed that, and then he reached out to me saying, hey, like, you know what, like just run the rundowns Instagram, right? So I started running and he's like, but in return, he's like, in return, what can I do for you? I'm like, I don't want any money. Um, can you give me a 30-minute call every week? Right.
Mm,
And
nice.
he was like, yeah, perfect, right? Like that works. So we started doing that, and then every week, like he would be like, hey, like you can do this better, or I would start like doing those giveaway posts where like, you know, it's like, oh, like and retweet this and then follow me or something, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Rowan would be like, hey, don't do that. That's actually bad for your personal brand. Uh,
Mm.
so like he would like, you know, guide me in those things. And so that helped me a lot, I would say. From there, basically started gaining about 10,000 followers a month. And then yeah, now we're 4 months out. And then now I don't currently work with the rundown just because like I got very busy on my own that
Yeah.
I couldn't like juggle both things.
Yeah.
And then about like a month ago, I basically quit my job and had a
Congratulations.
lot thank you, thank you. Yeah, so I had a lot of like revenue and stuff coming in from like sponsors and stuff, which I've stopped doing now. Um, but I was pretty sure that hey, like if I just continue down this path, I'm pretty sure it's gonna lead me somewhere, some way. Um,
So
and
is that
so
where
yeah,
you get your revenues from? So it's sponsorships, and does X
sponsorship.
pay you? Yeah.
X pays me now. Sponsorships, courses was a thing in the middle. Guides, but like now I've really just stopped doing all of that in like all together. As I'm kind of pivoting my Twitter currently, where I was more based around AI previously, but then like I feel like once you start making content about AI, you get grouped in these like, well, you get put in a bucket of influencers that I feel like all copy each other.
Yeah.
And
It's
and
true.
like,
It's true.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
following all this stuff, and I see the same stuff over and over again, just
yeah. And
tweeted by different
so
people.
exactly. And so it's like I don't want to be a part of that because again, it's like it's my name and I want to build something long term. And I feel like if I stay in the AI space, what ends up happening is I lose respect of people that I respect, right?
Mm.
Um, So if I reach out to Sean and I'm in the AI space, to him, I'm just another like person that's posting about AI and growing using like top 10 AI tools or something, even though
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
because
what I'm
that's all it
doing.
is. It's like tool after tool after tool after tool. It's not even really
Exactly.
news. It's just like, here's another tool, because every day we have 300 new tools. So there's obviously
Exactly.
something to say about it. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go down a path where I started losing the respect to all these people that I eventually want to work with or connect with, or hopefully have them be investors in a company of mine or anything, right?
Hmm.
Um, and or have them as clients, right? And so I recently, I would say about 3 weeks ago-ish, like ever since I posted that self story, I made the switch into kind of now posting more about like business breakdowns and entrepreneur, because on a daily basis, just talking about my interest, that's what I do. I listen to podcasts that talk about new businesses and unique entrepreneurs and so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, so I might as well go about it that route, right? Where I'm breaking down cool businesses. I did a poll recently on Twitter saying who would still be interested in following me if I did that. And most of my audience was like, hey, like, like we would love more business breakdowns and stuff. So I recently did one on the Milk Road, with like, and kind of how you can grow your newsletter and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. Really interesting, actually. I thought that was very, very interesting. That it
Yeah,
opened
thank
my
you.
eyes to a lot of things that I didn't realize that they were doing. That
Yeah,
was good.
so I'm starting to go more down that route where now I'm covering more businesses and entrepreneurs. And I had done one on Sahel Bloom that did pretty well last week. It was about 400K impressions.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so like I would say more or less like now I'm kind of shifting towards that and still covering tech tools and stuff, but less AI and less all of that, just because I feel like I don't want to get put in a bucket of people that like all post about the same thing.
Right. So if you were to say to somebody who has like 0 followers today and is
Mhm.
starting from scratch, what would be the strategy that they would use to get to where you are?
Um, I believe like so Charlie Munger, I believe, said this like where he said like have like saving your first 100K is the hardest.
Mm.
Um, and I believe the same thing for audience growth. I think going from 0 to 1,000 is the hardest.
Oh yeah.
After you go from 0 to 1,000, then life becomes a lot easier. Um, and honestly, the way I did it was I turned on notifications for 15 creators, and every single time one of them would post, I'll be the first one to comment and leave something very valuable.
Right. And
And
those
I think
creators would already have huge audiences, and then they would see
exactly,
your replies. Okay, gotcha.
exactly. And it's like if that post goes viral, or let's say Sahil Bloom posts something, I already know it's gonna get over 1 million impressions at least, right?
Right.
So I might as well be the first comment under his thing and leave a really thoughtful, good comment that adds to the post, not just like, hey, killer post or something.
You were
And
able to
so
have time in these meetings to leave a good comment.
that was tough. That was really
I can
tough.
imagine.
Yeah,
It's like,
so
hold on a second, I just got to write this email.
yeah, so basically like I would do that. And then I that's what I did from 0 to like 2,000 followers. Is like I had these like list of 15 creators that the second they posted, I'll be the first one to comment, right?
Mm. And how did
And
you
a
find
lot of
those creators, by the way? If you just, how
it was
did you,
just people I was interested in, I would say. It was just people I was interested in and were big in the space, right?
in
Like
AI or in marketing, business, anything in particular?
it was mainly AI, but now I'm doing the same playbook but in business,
Right,
right?
right.
Because that's the niche that I'm now pivoting towards. So now because I want to be more well known in that niche, I'm starting to, follow these like 10 to 15 creators, turn on their notifications, and then every single time they post, I'm the first comment. This way, I basically start to leverage their audience, right? And
Mm.
typically speaking, if you're the first comment on like a post that gets 1 million impressions, your comment alone is going to get like 30,000 impressions,
Yeah, no
right?
matter what it is. And if it's
No,
thoughtful and it's useful, then people are going to
exactly.
go see you or follow you.
E-
Wow,
Exactly. And
great strategy.
if people come to your profile, then it all is dependent on your bio, your banner, and your pinned post, right? That people see and they're like, wow, this is really good, right? And so then they follow you. So that's where like you have to convert the person that's come visiting your profile, right? And so
So
that's the
is X like your full strategy right now? Are you anywhere else, or are you basically focusing on X?
when I was doing AI, I was on on like Instagram and TikTok as well. But right now, I think I just want to focus on X as I'm pivoting into business and so on. So I think once I do this, once I build a loyal business following on X, and like I know I have, it doesn't have to be a big following, it just has to be people that I want as followers there,
Right.
right? So credible people. Once I have those names and stuff following me, I would say, then I'll maybe pivot into other platforms. But currently, my focus is just X and my newsletter. That's it.
And it sounds like it's basically, it is bringing in enough revenue. So are you bringing revenues through your newsletter as well, or is it just
Um,
sponsorships of your tweets, of your
so
threads and
so
stuff?
I used to do sponsorships of my tweets, but again, that kind of ends up being that then I'm posting the same thing as everybody else, right? So now actually I've stopped doing sponsorships. Currently, I wouldn't say I have a main source of revenue. The only source is probably sponsoring my newsletter.
Hmm.
Um, but even that, like I really limit it right now because I'm okay with not having much revenue come in for the next like 4 months. But to build a really loyal following that I can leverage later on.
Right.
Um,
So is
right
this,
now,
when you say following, you don't mean newsletter? You're talking about,
talking about a
okay,
Twitter following, but also a newsletter at the same time, since they're pretty much correlated.
right.
So as my Twitter following grows, my newsletter following is going to grow as well. So yeah.
But you're, and then coming from, it's like I know we have to get to the next segment, but from a monetization aspect, then they're going to look at all possible avenues, or are you just mostly focusing on sort of gaining your Twitter, increasing Twitter followers, getting more revenue that way, or are you going to be looking at expanding your newsletter and getting more and putting ads and stuff like that
Um,
in there?
Yeah, so I think right now I don't have a direct way of monetization for my newsletter. I think in the future, the only way of monetization for my newsletter will be probably sponsors for now.
Right.
In the future, after I have grown, I would say after I've pivoted successfully, it might just be that my following still stays the same, but a lot of people unfollow me. They used to follow me for AI and
Right.
now follow me for like entrepreneurship and business. Um, but I think after I've successfully, I feel like I've made the pivot. Then I will start, I would say, exploring other ways. And right now, I'm really thinking about like some sort of productized service, or because I would say I can grow like Twitter accounts pretty well, I would say.
Nice.
So yeah, so I would definitely probably go down that route, and maybe whether it's like helping other people grow a Twitter following and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Excellent. Fantastic. So it's time to think like a futurist. It's year 2033, 10 years from now. I know everything's happened for you really, really fast, but where can you imagine where you're going to be in 10 years?
In 10 years, I would say my long-term goal is probably just to meet a lot of cool people, hopefully move to like Dubai or something.
Hmm.
Uh, that's probably the longer term goal, and then have a full-time business where I make content, but I make content strictly to provide value to people, and directly it doesn't affect how much money or monetization I have month to month or how much revenue I'm bringing in. I would want to have a business that's like not completely separate from Twitter, but 99% of my following is I'm not trying to sell them anything, but like the 0.1% that my business is makes sense for, they can obviously reach out to me and stuff. So yeah, I think like way down the line, my goal would be to be on all platforms and just be providing value to people that'll be in my shoes then, right? So 22-year-olds when I'm 32, right?
Right.
Because I feel like at like 18 to like 22, I would have really loved someone who's like 33 or something, like a Alex Hermosi. To That's why like I think my favorite person in this world right now that to listen to advice to is Alex Hermosi,
Hmm.
because he's like not 55, but he's also not 24, right?
Right.
He's like 32, went through kind of what I went through 10 years ago, still remembers it very well. And you can see the process and how he got to where he is today. And now he gives advice to, I guess, people that are in his shoes, like what he was 10 years ago. So,
Are you worried at all that AI is going to get so sophisticated that it'll basically eliminate what you're doing too? Like it can create advice just as good as what you can?
well, I feel so. I did a recent thread on Sahil Bloom, and he really talked about this. Is he said AI will replace topic-based creators, but not relationship-based creators.
Right.
So, which is why I'm shifting out of just like being a topic-based creator where I'm just breaking down AI tools that even AI can do in probably 3 years, right?
Oh, sure. I wouldn't be
Right?
surprised if you couldn't, if you wrote the right
Exactly,
prompt
prompt.
now with
Yeah,
Zapier and all that stuff, you could probably have this thing churning out AI tools lists automatically anyway,
exactly,
right?
exactly. So it's like I don't want to be down a route where I can be commoditized, right? So that's why I want to go down a route where I'm a relationship-based creator more or less and building an actual relationship with my audience. And his take is actually in like let's say 6 years when everything is written by AI, humans are gonna actually want human touch. They're gonna crave human touch. So there's gonna be a big bounce back of people that are starting to follow all these like relationship-based creators where the creator is actually talking about human experiences, right? And
Exactly.
so I think that's how I want to position myself in 10 years is not as a topic-based creator, but more of as a relationship-based creator where people are following me for me and not just like tech news or something.
Absolutely. That's fantastic advice, because I think a lot of people are falling into the, spitting out lists, spitting out lists, spitting out lists, spitting out lists, and they get a lot of engagement, but
Mhm.
then, they don't build that relationship. And that's what you really need to do. You really need to build that relationship, and AI can't do
Mhm.
that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's kind of where I want to be for the long term is positioning myself in a way where um I'm giving value to my audience, but through a human experience and not just like blabbing out like AI content and stuff. And
Yeah, yeah.
and in the beginning, I feel like as a creator that I fell down that route where yes, 100% like I was caring more about the engagement and stuff. But now, more or less, I'm starting to come back and be like, hey, it's not about that. It's more about building a very loyal following that I can go ahead and eventually sell something to or leverage in some way or form.
Exactly, exactly. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. You've grown so fast,
Thank
so
you.
well. I mean, this is great. And you started, you were, it's like you're a born salesman. If you was starting at 14, you're spinning out Instagram sites. I love it.
Thank
So if
you. Thank
somebody
you.
so I'm assuming if somebody wants to get in touch with you, the best way is on Twitter,
Yeah,
right?
they can DM me 100%, and my DMs are always open, so I would love to chat. But yeah, so
Very cool. Very cool. So anybody out there who has fewer than, how many you got now? 100,000 followers?
no, I'm
Right?
at 40-ish.
Anybody who's
Hopefully
less than
soon.
40,000 followers, you got to talk to this guy. He knows what he's talking
Or
about.
or if they have more.
All
Oh,
right,
my
sir.
camera. I think my camera went off, but yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been
Yeah,
great.
thank you. Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye.